my direction was a little bit different.
Okay.
I like money. I like money, which is why I'm
Okay.
on the Money and People podcast, right?
Exactly.
I was working in a bank, but I realized there was a point where the business was suffering. You know, it ended up suffering because I had to focus on the job, and clients on the other end were complaining. So I created a spreadsheet just to track how the business was performing on a monthly. In the first few months, about 6 months, we were at par. But when I focus a little bit, because sometimes I'll dodge just to attend to a client, so I realized when I focus a little bit more on the business, I would go up a little bit in terms of revenue. So I told myself, okay, observe the business a little bit more and see if you're going to make this decision. I told myself, if this is going to work, you have to focus 100% on the business. So I took a bold step. I resigned from the bank. People need to understand that for you to look good, you need to spend money. I like to joke with my wife about this. I say, do you know that there are people out there that think buying a Benz is a luxury? For the wrong people, obviously. Others buy it for sure. But most people in businesses get this vehicle because they know that when people see me in this vehicle, they're going to see me in a certain way. So it's a business decision. And they sacrifice a little money that they have to purchase this decision. So it's a sacrifice. SMEs don't want to spend on branding. They would rather organize a cousin or uncle who is able to draw to come up with their visual concepts, which doesn't work. But consistency as well. It's good enough to show up looking good. People will say, okay, no, that guy showed up nice at the interview. But if you come looking shoddy tomorrow, it's a different story. Most SMEs fail to be consistent. Why? They don't have a strategy. Strategy is what's going to give you direction. You can tell a very good story, you can produce a nice TV ad, a nice radio, which will be entertaining, but is that really going to translate into a sale? So you need to have a clear call to action, even as you have your strong visual concept. If God has blessed you with something, don't just sit on it, make money out of it. But if you want to compete at a certain level, you need to be nurtured, developed by professionals.
Yes. Hello and welcome to the Money and People podcast, the show where we connect the dots between financial success and the power of human capital. Today on the show, we are joined by Geoffrey, who is the founder of Royalty Business Solutions. Welcome to the show, Geoffrey.
Thank you very much, Delia. As one of our first people on the team, it's such a great pleasure to be on your podcast. You know, the funny thing about the podcast is I've been seeing it from the backside, eh?
Okay.
But the one interesting thing that you've been very consistent with is the nature of people that come. It's not the people that you see, the usual people that you get to see on podcasts. It's the unusual faces. And with that being said, that gives us a little bit of understanding of what we can actually tap into away from the mainstream. So I'm actually very, very humbled to be on this podcast.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who are wondering what he's talking about, in the early days of Royalty Business Solutions, I was a model. So
Yeah.
if you scroll down on their socials, you will find me posing in my younger years.
Yes.
And I think, true to your word, I think the aim of this podcast is to smoke out people who are doing great works, but they're sort of behind the scenes. They're not in the spotlight. And we want to bring up what is it that they are doing. Some of them are in business, some of them are in corporate. So what lessons can we learn from them? Because sometimes we see the same celebrities on the podcast going across different podcasts, but what we want to bring is a different angle to podcasting. So thank you for recognizing that. And today the topic is very interesting, especially for people in this space that are trying to build a business and try to build a brand, because we are talking revolutionizing African brands and how royalty turns visibility into profit for SMEs. So before we go into the heart of the matter, it's important that we break the ice. Some people do not even know who you are. So who exactly is Geoffrey?
Geoffrey's the most handsome runner right now.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
They're going to come for you.
Well, Geoffrey is a marketing enthusiast, founder and lead creative of Royalty Business Solutions. happily married and father of two. So the one thing about me, the thing that actually runs through my veins is marketing.
Okay.
I breathe, eat, sleep marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically who Joffrey is.
Okay. And if you weren't a marketer, what would you have been doing?
Hmm. Well, if I wasn't a marketer, truth be told, I think I would have been a musician.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have been a musician, specifically behind the scenes in production. Because that's one other side of me that people don't get to understand. My background has been very, very creative.
Okay.
And as I was growing up, my interests were slowly gravitating towards music. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually got to produce some music for some of these artists that you get to see around.
Really?
Yeah, I was
I
quite
wouldn't
big.
have guessed that.
I know. I don't look like a producer.
Well, not that there's a way that producers look, but from my point of view, I thought that you're mostly, if you weren't doing marketing, I would have thought maybe you would have taken up running full time, sporty, and all that. So that's a different angle.
Yeah, no, it's a very different angle, and
Mm-hmm.
it's quite strange because I'm an introvert, so
Mm-hmm.
both interests speak differently about the person who I
Yeah.
am. 'Cause being an introvert, you don't expect the person to be in the entertainment industry, and being an introvert, you don't expect the person to be in marketing because it's a very interactive profession.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that people should know about me.
Okay.
I could have been a
The
musician.
producer. Yeah.
However, the thing is, I was actually very good. I still have some of my old work.
Okay.
And funny thing is, I'm now using some of the work that I used to use in
Mm-hmm.
marketing. So all those beats that I used to make, those have become sound bits for most of my work.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
So I believe when God blesses you with a talent, you shouldn't run away from it. You should embrace it,
Exactly. Embrace
make money
it.
out of it. If you're not going to make money out of it, create some level of impact.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would have been a music producer.
Okay. And as you were falling in love with marketing and branding, is there a brand that stood out to you, like that you fell in love with, and why did it stick?
Ah, there's so many brands out there. 38 years of my life, I've been exposed to so many brands. But you see,
Yeah.
the interesting thing about us is some of the brands that we actually fall in love with are the pioneer brands that we actually grew up with. When we were growing up, we never knew toothpaste.
Yeah.
We knew Colgate.
Colgate.
When it comes to soft drinks, we knew Coca-Cola and Fanta.
Exactly.
So when we're talking about brands from an early age, I think Coca-Cola stands out.
Yeah.
Not only because it's a fantastic drink, of course there are arguments against that, but it's the experience that they made us feel when they were advertising. It was a great
Mm-hmm.
product, quite all right, but there was a certain experience that we were able to have to share with Coca-Cola. The red branding, the iconic Coca-Cola bottle.
Yeah.
If you remember very well, there was that advert. I would have called it a creative thing, but yeah, it was an advert, TV ad, where
Mm-hmm.
someone was drinking Coca-Cola from a plane,
Mm-hmm.
and then they dropped the empty bottle of Coca-Cola
Yeah.
onto a village setting. Do you
Yeah.
remember the havoc that was created by that Coca-Cola
Yes,
bottle?
there was
Because they
so
were
much
using it
hype.
as a tool to break things and whatnot, and
Yes.
everybody wanted to have a hand of that. So
Yes.
it created some level of wanting to be part of that brand because of such adverts. So
Exactly.
it was more of an experience, and it sort of sticks even up to now because it went beyond just telling us that the drink is nice. It
Mm-hmm.
went on to telling us stories about why we should actually interact with this
Yeah.
particular brand.
Yeah.
And if you remember very well, there was also another advert by Tyrese where he was on a bus and
Mm-hmm.
he was singing this Coca-Cola song. So
Yes.
it was such a nice experience to just be associated with this brand called Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
think Coca-Cola really pioneered the whole experience vibe
yes,
of, and I think a lot of other companies are adopting that now, is that even today, when you look at a Coca-Cola ad, it's trying to bring into the scene the whole aspect of you want to be part of something.
exactly.
So they will show some celebrities, but they will also show regular people
Mhm.
having great family time and trying to build that inclusivity to their brand.
Exactly.
So yeah, that makes a lot of
And you know,
sense.
it's pretty interesting that even in Zambia,
Mm-hmm.
Coca-Cola is quite big,
Yeah.
even in marketing, because what I've noticed is, you know that we've got Matebeto setups, right?
Yes.
Have you noticed that Coca-Cola is in Matebeto setups now?
Yes.
And now they are even using influencers to push the Coca-Cola product.
Yes.
When you have your Shima there will be a Coca-Cola bottle for you to
Exactly.
enjoy. So they
Exactly.
brought it close, away from the global market, they brought it close to us here in Zambia.
Exactly. And for you would think that's a big company.
Yeah,
They could still probably do without having to bring it home like that because some other big brands are still selling,
yeah,
even though, but for them to take it a step further, you can really feel that impact. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. And in 3 words, how do you think your closest friend would describe you?
Stubborn. I am stubborn. I
Okay, you
am very, very
admit it.
stubborn. I admit it. I mean, I've grown up being told that I'm stubborn. So stubborn, persistent,
Yeah.
and obviously creative.
Okay.
So these things, because I mean, from a very young age, I've been told you're stubborn, you're creative, and you're persistent. I've used
Okay.
them to leverage even the way I do my business. I use those as pillars to push me forward.
Okay. That's interesting. Let's walk a little bit into your journey of building your own brand. What is the story behind Royalty and what inspired you to create Royalty?
Wow. I wish I had like 3 days to tell this story.
It's a long story.
I need to write a book about this, but that's something that I'm actually working on. A book,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So pretty interesting. You know, I've done marketing,
yes.
and most of the times, marketing students want to, you know, get off school and go into these big companies to become marketing managers, etc. However, my direction was a little bit different.
Okay.
I like money. I like money, which is why I'm
Okay.
on the Money and People podcast, right? I
Exactly.
like money. So
Yeah.
even before graduation, I used to do a lot of side hustles.
Okay.
Um, I know Broyalty is known to be a designing company, but initially in school, I never had the designing skills.
Oh,
What I did was I found the market and I found people to do the work for me.
okay.
So all those Kobusu functions, the
Mm-hmm.
bashes, school business functions and whatnot, I'll be the person to do all those artworks and print.
Okay.
But I had no creative direction, no creative juice in me in terms of graphic design.
Okay.
So I managed that as a business, and people knew me as a person to go to if they need certain things. So even as I graduated, I told myself, I'm not going to rush to look for that job that I want. Of course, I'll get into the job market, because we all have to survive. But I'm going to start this business. So I started it. Initially, it was called Deeds, Deeds INC. Yeah, because deeds matter more than words. So it was called Deeds INC, and initially it was supposed to be a holistic marketing company. Because in school, you won't believe this, in school, my thesis was actually a case study. It was a feasibility study, actually. I was trying to see how lucrative the business is.
Okay.
So instead of treating it as a project for school, I used all the resources to find out how feasible this business is.
Okay.
And yeah, so
So
I've
by
got
the
a,
time you started, you already knew to say you had done your research and development
I had
essentially.
already done my R&D. I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. So
Okay.
it started off as Deeds INC, and it was a holistic marketing company. But along the way, we realized that it's not every company or SME that needs a holistic marketing approach, because most of the clients that would come for marketing planning. We have this business, we need to find our routes to market. Can you help us out? So we'd help them draft marketing campaigns and marketing plans. But even as we interacted with these clients, I realized they didn't have any identities. They had their business names, etc., but they didn't have any logos, they didn't have any colors. And during those interactions, I would have to find some other people to outsource to help them come up with those visual identities. So I thought to myself, you know what? This is actually an auxiliary service that we can include in the business. So instead of just providing marketing services, we started providing visual concepts to our clients. We started designing logos, etc. And along the way, when I saw that the money was really making sense, because I was working for a bank, I decided to formalize it in 2016. I was like, you know what, if this is going to be a venture that you're going to take seriously, you might as well formalize it. And which is something I will tell your audience. If you want to make your dream possible, formalize it. Register it with Pakra. The vision changes when you do that. So we registered it, and unfortunately, deeds didn't go through. I was heartbroken.
Oh, with the Packer namesake.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know that drama that goes through. You've
Yes,
grown
yes.
up as a child. I always want to own a business with this name, and then they kill your
Yes.
dreams like that.
Oh my goodness.
So I was forced to come up with a different name, which was, of course, there was a list, and Broyalty was one of them. So Broyalty is actually a compound word. It's a combination of brand loyalty. Yeah, in case people didn't know. So we registered brand Broyalty, and we started making some money. Of course, I was working in a bank, but I realized there was a point where the business was suffering. You know, it ended up suffering because I had to focus on the job, and clients on the other end were complaining. So I took a bold step. I resigned from the bank. I told myself, if this is going to work, you have to focus 100% on the business. And you know, along the way, you get to pivot. You get to see your strengths. So along the way, Broyalty has come to be known as a brand development agency. Quite right, we're a marketing agency. We can do everything, but our main strength is brand development. When businesses get registered on the market, they know where to come for a strong visual identity. So we've managed to pivot on that particular aspect, in as much as we have auxiliary services like design support, social media management, etc. Broyalty is a brand development company, and we would like to be known just like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll take you back a little bit. So for some who are wondering, Kobusu, what and what?
Yeah.
He was at the Copperbelt University.
Oh,
In fact,
yes.
that's where we met. But when you decided to take that leap, I know you had sort of researched your business. It was making money for you to then decide that I'm going to go into this full time. It was obviously making money. But was your business already offering that level of stability where you are secure that it's going to support you and you don't need, because for most people, I believe they have great business ideas. They have this vision, but it's on the side because they are not yet sure if it will sustain them the way the job security of having a salary every month will sustain them.
Yeah.
So at what point did you get to saying, okay, I can make this jump? Was your business making you already consistent, steady income? Or even while it was still not yet steady, there's something that gave you that confidence to make that jump into full time?
You know, one thing about the business journey, the entrepreneurial journey, it's always best to start when you're very unsure. I know it's risky, but with high risks come higher returns, right?
Yeah.
So as I was working in the bank, business was coming in. It wasn't great, of
Yeah.
course, but small businesses were coming in, and I was able to feed my family, etc. But there was a point where the business started making almost the same amount I was making from my day job. So there was that balance. Like, there's this job and there's this business. The job is giving you this money, and the business is giving you this money. And then there's that level where they equalize.
Yeah.
Then I realized, okay, if this is something that I'm going to take up seriously, I might as well start tracking it. Tracking is a very serious thing in business because it's the only way you know if you're growing or not. So I created a spreadsheet just to track how the business was performing on a monthly. And I did realize that, okay, in the first few months, about 6 months, we're at par. But when I focus a little bit, because sometimes I'll dodge just to attend to a client, so I realized when I focus a little bit more on the business, I would go up a little bit in terms of revenue. So I told myself, okay, observe the business a little bit more and see if you're going to make this decision. Personally, I've never been for employment.
Okay.
My personality tends to clash a lot with the powers that be. So I'm this independent person. So I've always wanted to have something full time. So when the moment the money started getting a little bit more, and I noticed that the what can I say, the growth, because you know how the growth, the chart is, right? You
Yeah.
definitely have your dips. There
Yes.
will be ups, but there will be dips as well.
Yes.
So the dips started slowing down, and I told myself,
Ah,
okay, this is the right point. If you wait for the perfect moment, it will never
it
come.
will never come. Yeah.
This is the point where you're uncertain, but you still have some light at the end of the tunnel. So I just told myself, okay, take the leap and see where it goes. If it doesn't work, you can always go back to the job market, but that's a very wrong mentality. So when that happened, I decided to go full time, and I quit my job, and here we are,
Okay.
100%. So entrepreneurship is rocky.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and I would like to believe it's not for everyone,
Exactly.
but you have to take certain risks for you to make it work. It's like a relationship. If you don't put in the effort, it's not going to work. If you just leave it to grow organically, it's not going to work. You have to put in the effort and time. So I decided to put those two resources, time and effort, and money as well,
Yeah.
to make it work. And yeah, here we are. Of course, it's never rosy. You have those dips that I've talked about.
Yeah.
But if the general progression shows positivity, then you're on the right path. I don't believe in short-term results in business.
Mm-hmm.
I always give a 5-year expectation. Small businesses, even the people that I talk to, when they come to me, I tell them this business that you're starting, it's going to be rocky. If you feel you're really into it, give it 5 years. Come to me after 5 years, then we can have a conversation. You know why? Because many businesses start very well, quite right. In the first year, they'll be making money. The moment they just slump, even just a little bit, they go back to their day jobs. Some of them lose a lot of confidence when things go south. But that's not how business is. When things go south, you go back to the drawing board and see where things are not working. So
Okay.
yeah, that's generally my thought around that.
That's interesting that you say that. I believe that as an entrepreneur, you need to have that resilience, right? And I've seen that in what you're explaining. But what do you think shapes that? Did your background have something to do with that? Is
Oh
it
yes.
just something that's innate? The way they say leadership is innate in some people and it's not in others. Is this resilience something that someone can be taught or can learn along the way? Or is it something that is shaped by other factors? Like in your case, what do you think shaped that entrepreneurial spirit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, just like in any situation, there are internal and external forces that come to play. I would like to believe um, my personality contributed,
Mm.
but also my background did contribute. My creativity, well, I got to appreciate it from a very, very young age. Um, I've been able to get a lot of recognition from creativity from a young age. In Munali, I was supposed to travel out of the country, a small country called Croatia, because of art. I was very, very good. When it comes to drawing art pieces, putting things together, I was very, very good. And even in secondary, I got to be approached by the head, one of the deputy head at the school, and I was asked to do some artwork for them, and they paid me for that. So it gave me a realization to say, look, if God has blessed you with something, don't just sit on it, make money out of it. So out of all those creative spirits that I've been embracing, I've been able to make some money out of it. From art, I'll charge people for art pieces. When doing music production, like I've mentioned, I would charge people for that. Actually, before music production, remember when we're making transitions, these phones that we have,
Yeah.
when we had those monophonic tones, that
Yes.
I would make ringtones. Cast will make
Really?
ringtones. Yeah, someone will say, "I need a ringtone that sounds like Danika's hit song," and I would
Yeah.
make it exactly. So I'll start charging people for
Okay.
that. I'll be at a small internet cafe, and people would come to me and say, "Ah, tulefaa kwa ringtone mutupangireko," and I'll charge for that.
But where did you learn that?
Interest. Interest. So I embrace this creative energy so much, and at some point I was even called Slice.
Yes,
Oh yeah,
I
at some point
remember
I was
that.
called Slice, and
Where did that come from?
Well, there's a backstory, but I rebranded it. I was called Slice because I was small, I was slim, and they would call me Slice because I was looking like a slice of bread. But
Really,
yeah,
people.
people are mean, but I embraced it
Yeah,
because of the character that I am. I took it,
yeah,
okay, if this name is going to be with me all along, I might as well change the meaning.
yeah.
So I changed the spelling instead of the Y, instead of the I
You
put a
put a
Y,
Y, yeah,
and I turned it into an acronym.
yeah.
So Slice is actually sell, sell and love your creative energy. So
Okay.
it's a very strong statement. So if you have
Yeah.
some level of creativity, sell it, make money out of it, and that's
Okay.
what I do.
Okay, that's interesting. So, how would you describe what Broyalty does, not just in terms of the services that you offer, but the impact that you have?
Well, Broyalty has a mandate. I believe we've been given a mandate to, let's say, give positive visibility to brands that cannot actually have that visibility. Okay, so what we realized is, in as much as we provide design support, etc., there's so many businesses out there that are not performing as they should perform for simple things like not having a proper visual concept attached to their business. So what we did was, even our pricing is very friendly. So what we did was, we were able to fill that gap to say, for businesses to be profitable the way we would like them to be and ultimately contribute to GDP as we are supposed to, there are certain things that have to come into play. First of all, it's the mindset shift.
Yeah.
Okay, many SMEs do not want to brand for a simple reason. They feel it's a luxury, they don't need it. So Royalty came into the picture to change that narrative. Okay, even in our messaging, you realize that we don't always put out our work. It's a mindset shift. First of all, we preach the message of entrepreneurship. Okay, you don't always have to have a formal job. You know, you can always have a business, have it registered. Why? Because I know when the business registers, it's going to come to us for branding. So as we're preaching that entrepreneurial journey, we also strongly preach the strong message of having presence, visual presence on the market, educating the masses out there, the SMEs, the individuals, the true value of having a strong brand. And out of this, as part of our areas of impact, we've partnered with different organizations to provide mentorship. So we partnered with the Guiding Stars, we partnered with Thrive Aid, we've also partnered with Zim CBU at the Covered University. So we have a Broyalty team there that we mentor. So the main essence of having these mentorships is to educate. Okay, quite right, we want the money, but we also want the industry to thrive. We want the market to grow, because if the market grows, everybody grows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody has an income, everybody
Yeah.
has a greater disposable income, and our lives will become a little bit better. So that's the level of impact that we try to create. We try to educate the masses out there, the market, the true essence and value of having a proper brand identity and the strategy.
Okay, that's interesting, and I'm glad to hear there's also the mentorship leg. So that's great, and well done to you on recognizing the aspect that if you grow, if you help to mentor those others, then the whole industry grows, because most people want to keep that information because they're afraid of the competition, or that if they share some of the things or the ways that they do certain things, then it reduces the cake for them. But
Yeah,
the fact is that um, you can actually grow the base and the cake
together.
so that there's enough for everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, so well done to you on that. And I just know that some people, when they hear the word branding, they're thinking it's just a logo. What really goes into branding? What is branding?
I like that. I like that. It's a very, very important question, and I would like to address it. So, there's a market.
It's loaded. It's a
Hey!
loaded.
So, you see, a brand is more than what we think it is. Okay? Most people think having a logo is having a brand. But one thing we need to realize is there's an internal part of a brand, and there's the external part of the brand. What we see as publics, the logos, the colors, the messaging, that's the external part of the brand. I like to use the concept of the iceberg. You've seen the structure of the iceberg, the way it is. It's the same thing with the brand. So what you see at the top is the external. That's where you find the logos, the colors, and all those nice things that you see. But at the bottom of it, just like an iceberg, which is bigger,
Yes.
that's the part that's actually loaded. That's where you find things like strategy. So now strategy speaks to who are we as a business, okay? What's our purpose? What tone of voice are we going to be using to speak to the people that we want to speak to? What's our mission? These are the things that we don't see. And these are the bigger components of the brand because we don't see them. We judge and we conclude, say, okay, a logo is a brand, but it's so much bigger than that. And truth be told, a logo should not even exist before considering what should be underneath there, because that's what we call strategy. You can't design a logo without knowing who it's going to be presented to. You understand? So you need to understand your public, you need to do a lot of marketing research, you need to define the personality. I would like to consider a logo to be an attire because that's the external brand. It's like an attire, okay? You look good, you're well presented, your clothes are pressed nicely and etc. But do we know what you're thinking? Do you know your background? Do we know your intentions? We don't. And all that is part of the brand. So people need to understand that a logo is just one component of a brand, okay? And it's a very small component of the external brand because the logo once created, it's obviously going to speak to a lot of things. That's where you get your colors from, you know, that's where you get your typography from, etc. But it's just one small component of a brand. The real impact comes from what's underneath, the bottom part of the iceberg. That's what's going to differentiate you from a normal company, an SME that's really marketing oriented, to something that's totally different.
Okay. And how does this branding or visibility turn into profit for a small business owner? What is the business case for us actually making sure that we brand ourselves properly?
That's a good question. And funny thing is I get this question a lot from my clients because as they're trying to pitch, trying to uh, spread the message, trying to convey the message of value to them, they'll ask you this question: why should we change our logo?
Yeah.
Like, is it really going to make sense for us to look nice?
Yeah.
How is that going to translate to our bottom line?
Yeah.
So the reality is this: branding is not a magic wand that's going to ultimately contribute to your bottom line. No. Visibility is just the start, okay? For us, in the case of Broyalty, when you come to us, there are two things that we're going to advise. Of course, we'll have that discovery session where we get to uncover exactly what you want, right? You tell us, no, we're in this business, we're in general supply, etc., and we want to go into the market. Can you make us a logo? The first thing I'll ask is, what are you trying to achieve? No, we're trying to make money, okay? What do you want from the logo? No, we want it to look a certain way and whatnot. Okay, quite all right. You want it to look a certain way, but do you really understand what you're trying to do? Do you have a strategy for it? Do you know the people that you're going to target? Okay, and once you have that conversation, they'll be able to give you some insights. But then we try to champion the aspect of having a strategy, because what that strategy does is it helps us craft something that's going to be suitable for you as a business. Okay, strategy is going to tell us the people that you're trying to serve. Strategy will tell us the mediums that you're going to use when you're trying to reach your people. Strategy will tell us the budget that you have. Strategy will tell us the coverage that you're going to cover. So when we have that strategy conversation, mostly they turn it down. Okay, they say, why do we need, because strategy is a lot of work, there's a lot of research that goes in, so we charge a little bit higher than just having a deliverable like a logo. So we tell them, this is what you need, we can do a strategy for you, a proper rollout plan on how you can make your business work for the first 6 months at least. And then they'll tell you, we don't need that. It's a luxury. Just give us what we want. We just want a logo, letterhead, company profile, and whatnot. However, when we do that, we also make sure that we do a very good job. We're very strong on brand development. So we do that. But we tell the clients, look, in as much as we've given you this visual concept, it's just a tool to get attention. People will notice you, yes, quite all right, but are you going to be able to sustain that attention? Um, one way you can turn that visibility into profit is moving your clients, your audience through the sales funnel.
Yeah.
Others might call it the IDA model. So when you get that visibility, you as a company, since you've rejected our strategy, you as a company need to make sure that you you convert that attention to a purchase decision. So now
Yeah.
how does that happen? Yes, you're noticed, but is there any clear call to action?
Mm.
You can tell a very good story, you can produce a nice TV ad, a nice radio, which will be entertaining, but is that really going to translate into a sale? So it needs to have a clear call to action, even as you have your strong visual concept. So even as you're having that in mind, there's a process, like I mentioned, the AIDA. You create awareness through that visual concept, okay? The next thing is you also have to move that client down to a purchase decision. How do you make that happen? You create interest, you create desire. How do you do that? Storytelling. That's one strategy that most companies are using. I know most companies are saying it's a new tool that's been introduced in the marketing space, but no, it's been there since time immemorial. We've talked about storytelling when it comes to Coca-Cola. So you have to ensure that you add some level of value to what you're producing. So there's so many ways you can actually do this. Point of contact with your product, with your clients. You can either explain product benefits, okay? Tell them, okay, when you buy this product, this is what's going to do for you. When you buy this cream and you apply it on your skin, after 3 days, all your pimples are going to be gone. But the client also has to have a level of experience. Are they really enjoying that interaction that you're having? Are they enjoying the space that you have in a shop? The experience has to be pleasurable. And even as they are consuming your product, it has to be enjoyable. The way you sell your product has to match what you're offering on the market. You can't have a very good logo, a very good company profile, but your business has very, let's say, below standard products or services. So there has to be a match as well. And then when you ultimately explain these benefits and the client moves from attention, interest to desire, you've created that strong will to actually purchase a decision. Now, that's not enough as well. The client has to be, the client has to easily access this product. You know, there are times where you're interested in this product, the salesperson convinces you to buy, and then there's another process for you to actually onboard. You can't pay using mobile money, they don't accept cash, you have to go and pay to the bank. So all that effort that you've put in the work in the selling process goes down the drain because ultimately you can't access this product. So visibility is good and it can be used to attract attention, but you also need to find a way of moving your client from just being aware of your product to actually wanting to be part of your product, either through product benefits, user experience, and what we like to call brand association. There are times where people just want to be part of the brand. They don't even know what you're about. They just want to be a part of it. Say, oh, Broyalty, we've been seeing students wearing Broyalty t-shirts. We don't even know what they're about, but we want to be part of it. So you have to make them want to be part of it. And what that does is, even after they purchase this product or service from you, you have to make the exit really, really good as well. This is where, which is where sales, after sales comes in. You have to take
Yeah.
care of the client that
Mm.
you've managed to acquire because they say it's more costly to have a new client than service an
Yeah.
already existing client. And what that does is it builds brand loyalty.
Yeah.
When a satisfied customer is very, very happy with your product, that becomes your salesperson. You don't even have to advertise because that client is going to be using word of mouth to talk about you. Hey, Broyalty, did you know Broyalty does really good stuff? Oh, really? And you know, once you just have a conversation with them, you can easily just pay using mobile money. And after that, they'll constantly check up on you, know, how's the business doing, etc. And at that point, you don't even need to have a mass market. You just need to have a small fraction of people on the market, serve them well, and that ultimately goes into productivity. You become profitable just like that.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's it's good that you walk your clients through that process.
Mm-hmm.
I think people right now, they're chasing attention. Like if I have a good brand, I post a good ad on my socials, how many likes, how many people engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's not going to translate into an actual sale and even into a loyal or returning customer, then what was the point of all that effort? So I think it's great that you bring in the aspect of what is your overall strategy, because we can't run away from that.
No,
It's what will sustain all those visibility efforts.
exactly.
And in that vein, I would like to just find out from you if you have what is your most proud success story in terms of a project or a client that you've worked with to build their brand? Is there one that stood out for you?
Mm. Uh, Eesh, several. It's hard to pick.
Okay.
I'll pick Ajabu Technologies.
Okay.
So Ajabu Technology is a company that came onto the market in the energy space,
Okay.
and initially they came for a logo. We have this business. We want to start doing bulbs, so make us a logo. So now, being a marketer, a salesperson, I don't believe in just coming for one thing. I told them, I asked them questions. What are you going to do with this logo? No, we want to put it on a package. Okay. We also do package design. So they gave us that project to do the package design. But what was most impactful about this project is, in as much as we were able to create this visual identity for them, because we worked on their logo, we even gave them a brand manual to follow. They were so happy with the work that they engaged us to help them roll out onto the market. So we were able to create their visual identity. We designed the packaging for the bulbs and the LED tubes.
Okay.
And the biggest win from this is they were able to meet their monthly targets within 2 weeks of each month for the first half of the year.
Wow.
So now that gave us a lot of credibility, because not only were we strong on designing visual concepts, we also flexed our muscle in terms of campaigns. Businesses, SMEs should be able to come to us way beyond what people see. So we're able to draft something for them that will be able to speak to the actual situation, which was load shedding. So each and every messaging point was able to speak to the aspect of load shedding. Each artwork was very unique in the sense that would have an artwork that speaks to a barber shop. You know, are you trying to have a haircut? You have this load shedding, we've got this bulb. Are you trying to get into a salon? We've got this bulb. Are you trying to work out in the dark? No, we've got this bulb. So we had all those different scenarios that were able to speak to the current problem. So for me, that was the biggest win, because we were also able to see the revenues that were coming in and the profitability that the business was enjoying. And even up to now, the product was able to make it into choppies, which was another win for us,
Wow.
because at the end of the day, we're trying to uplift local brands so they're able to compete with the international brands,
Yes.
simply by using brand equity. So brand equity is, for in simpler terms, it's the value that you just add to a product or service, just that extra thing that makes it special, such that consumers would rather go for your product than go for a competitor, even if your product is more expensive.
Yeah.
So that's what we're able to do for businesses. And for Ajabu Technologies, they were able to get that. And for us, that was a very big win.
Okay, I can imagine. And you've just brought out something that leads me to my next question. When you talked about being able as local brands to compete at that level with international brands, what do you perceive as some of the challenges that African businesses are facing? Are there unique challenges that we are facing as African small businesses in terms of trying to gain visibility?
Oh, yes. Yeesh, there's so many challenges. So many challenges. Sometimes I even get to fight with clients.
Oh my
We
God.
don't even talk sometimes because we have that disconnect. So the thing about the African market and the guys in the West, first of all, budget considerations. We know Africa is full of developing countries. Some of them are below par. Because of that, the clients tend to be very price sensitive. they don't want to spend. This concept of branding is a luxury is killing businesses. People need to understand that for you to look good, you need to spend money. I like to joke with my wife about this. I say, do you know that there are people out there that think buying a Benz is a luxury? For the wrong people, obviously. Others buy it for sure. But most people in businesses get this vehicle because they know that when people see me in this vehicle, they're going to see me in a certain way. So it's a business decision, and they sacrifice a little money that they have to purchase this decision. So it's a sacrifice. SMEs don't want to spend on branding. They would rather organize a cousin or uncle who is able to draw to come up with their visual concepts, which doesn't work. You need to have, if you want to compete at a certain level, you need to be nurtured, developed by a professional.
Yes.
Okay? And in as much as that can be done, you can have a proper visual concept, quite all right. They might buy into your idea of having a professional design identity. But consistency as well. It's good enough to show up looking good. People will say, okay, no, that guy showed up nice at the interview. But if you come looking shoddy tomorrow, it's a different story. Okay? So most SMEs fail to be consistent. Why? They don't have a strategy. Strategy is what's going to give you direction. Strategy will give you a tone. This is how you're going to be talking to your publics. Okay? This is the voice that you use. These are the colors that you're going to be using. If your logo is going to be placed at the top end of your document, it will stay there. We shouldn't see it at the bottom. Consistency. And the thing is, SMEs don't really appreciate that reality because it is a reality. If you present yourself in a certain way, the same way consistently over time, you build a brand. But most companies just want to have a brand designed for them and they go. And before you know it, you see them misusing the brand. You told them in the brand line guideline, please, when we develop this logo for you, do not put it on a green background. 6 months down the line, you see the logo on a green background, and then you have to start calling people, guys, you have a brand guideline that we developed for you. Please follow it. It's not a decoration. It's a tool. It's a powerful tool that you can use to build a brand. Most SMEs don't want to accept the time aspect of it because building a brand takes time. You can't build a brand in a day. You can't even build it in a month. You have to be consistently pushing. Same way you're talking to your clients. If you're going to use a female voice in your radio ad, of course there's going to be a mix, but some companies are very deliberate. If it's going to be one voice that's going to be doing your adverts, it's going to be one voice. Have you noticed DSTV uses our guy, what's his name again? There's this guy, very popular. He does voiceovers. And every time we listen to a DSTV ad, we know this is the guy who actually does it. So that speaks to consistency. African brands, one, do not want to spend on branding. Secondly, they do not want to have a strategy developed for them so that they're consistent. So in the end, they're not consistent. And in the end, they fail to create brands. They're all over the place.
But are you seeing, sorry, excuse me, are you seeing this as something that's starting to improve? What trends are you seeing? While we are a bit more price sensitive, not willing to put in the work, but are we becoming a little bit more brand conscious? Are we trending in the right direction? Or is this a space that you're seeing that a lot of work still needs to be done?
I'll be very honest with you. We still have a lot of work to do.
Okay.
We still have a lot of work to do. However, I must make mention that there's been some progress has been made, which is why we've been seeing a lot of businesses doing a lot of rebrands. We've been seeing a lot of competitions here and there, even for the parastatals, the notorious parastatals that don't want to rebrand. They're very comfortable with what they have. But now we've seen them coming close to the branding aspect. They're appreciating the true value of having a strong visual identity. And the other thing that's made me realize it is even within my own circle, our clients, most of the clients that we got to work on with in terms of visual identities are coming back for guidance. Say, okay, yeah, you did a great logo for us, but we need some level of consistency. Can you give us some brand guidelines, etc., etc. So that gives us some level of insights in terms of acceptance. Quite all right, we do have a lot of work to do, but there's been some change. Just yesterday, we were seeing an acceptance of the rebrand of the Zambia something for musicians, Zambia Association for Musicians.
Yes.
Yes. So they just unveiled their new logo, and I was happy to see that it's something that we speak about, something very simple, minimalistic. Because one thing you realize about local brands is they want to tell the whole story on a logo. You know, if you're into general supply, you want to have a caterpillar there, you want to have a crane,
Yes,
etc.
these are all
But
the
but
funny side
ideally,
effects.
that's not how visual concepts are supposed to be used. I don't believe a logo is meant to tell a
The whole
story.
story.
Yeah, it's not meant to tell the whole story. It's just supposed to be identifiable and relatable, you know?
Do you think social media is what's also helping businesses to have that wake up call?
I wouldn't limit it to social media. I would say technological advancements because you're exposed to more knowledge now. You have websites, you have reels, you have all these
Yes.
things that are exposing us to what is supposed to be done. So even social media, yes, it's a tool that's enabling us, but even us as champions of the message are going out there. We're on this podcast talking about the same thing. The other time I was on another podcast talking about the same thing. So if we can have such audiences where we can actually preach the true value of having a mindset shift, that would work. And we're seeing the results now. So social media is a tool, yes. Um, but the reality is, yes, we have the information, but are we really acting on it? You do know that having a good visual concept or identity is good, but are you really acting on it? Are you buying into it? Do you have a strategy for your brand? So there's a thin line between knowing, yes, we do know that things have to be done. Before we didn't know, but the good thing is now we know. But now we need to start acting on that information and implementing.
Okay. So if I'm a small business and I'm sitting here like thinking, okay, that sounds great and all, but can I be able to afford it? So to the small business, what would you say is sort of the minimum monetary investment that they should be looking to make in order to begin this journey of making their brand more visible?
I wouldn't say there's a minimum amount
Yeah.
or maximum, but there are two things that businesses should focus on. Okay. And they have to make sacrifices because great things come to things that are sacrificed. So
Yeah.
you have to accept the fact that you have to spend money. Okay. You have to spend a considerable amount of money to make a brand work.
Considerable.
Considerable, slightly above average.
What does
Slightly
that
above average.
mean?
Because look, if you want to have a strong visual concept for your business, there are a lot of things that come into play and they don't come cheap.
Yeah.
We don't, like for Broyalty, we're not just going to design a logo for you. No, we want to design the whole shebang. We want to design the logo. We want to give you the guidelines. We want to dictate the type of font that you're going to be using on your adverts, etc. We are going to dictate the colors that you're going to use. You've seen big brands. Big brands are thriving now because they're consistent, okay? And they spend money for that. When you see a certain shade of yellow, you know it's MTN. So that's what we're trying to do. We put all these things into perspective. There's a lot of research that goes in, and you need to appreciate that as a client. That in as much as we're giving you this product, there's a lot of research that goes in. We're going to detect the color. We're basically giving you a direction to make more money.
Yeah.
Why can't you spend money on a class that's going to teach you to make money? I
Yeah,
don't
and I mean,
understand.
people spend money on so many things. It's funny.
Exactly.
So the reason I keep asking you about, okay, what's the investment to be made is these days we're seeing a lot of, even when I'm on Facebook, there are pop-ups that are coming. We can design your logo for you. We can what. There are apps or websites where
There's
they'll tell you
AI
just
now.
put the name of your company. We make the logo for you. And then you go on Facebook or Instagram and you pay you pay for the ads,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're thinking, okay, if I have the logo, I pay for the ads, then my business will grow.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, like you mentioned earlier, you have all that awareness. A lot of people are liking and asking about your product,
Mm-hmm.
but how now to translate that
Into a
into
sale.
a sale and a returning customer? It's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to get from you is, how do we then get people to see that when I'm paying for the full range of products versus I will DIY it myself and I will pay for ads, I will just buy a logo online.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is the kind of investment that you should be ready to make for you to get the full experience and see results versus you DIY it? Sometimes it works, other times it doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
and all those things.
Okay. Well, I don't want to put a figure on it,
Yeah.
but
Is it
it's
also depending on the size of your business? Is this,
yes,
yeah.
it depends on so many factors. It depends on the size of your business. It depends on what you're actually looking for, because the guidelines that I've mentioned are different as well. There's some that are very detailed.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Barcelona guidelines, about 500 pages,
Oh,
just
wow.
telling you how to use a brand. 500 pages.
Oh, wow.
But I don't believe SMEs need that much to check. So of course there's going to be an amount that you have to invest in, but also not let's not downplay another factor that we need to consider. Yes, money is important. Sometimes you can even have a good deal. A service provider, you have a good relation, they'll give you something at a cheaper price, but it will still be very good. However, the other investment that you need to put into consideration is time. The time factor in brand building is very, very important, and we can't run away from it. Personally, I would say for you to be considered a big brand, something that has meshed well with your audience, it has to be at least 6 months and above. I would even peg it to 2 years for it to be considered a brand, because it takes that much time for a component like a brand to register in the mind of your consumer. So in as much as you may spend money on a visual concept, you also have to be ready to spend money for that long period, because you need that design support. You need to be nurtured. You need to be guided. You can come to us to say, okay, give us brand guidelines, but are you going to understand those brand guidelines?
Yeah.
So there's always that time aspect that we all need to bear in mind. Like for us, our cheapest comprehensive plan is like 20,000 kwacha. That's the cheapest. But it varies as well. There are times where a client just wants a logo. There are times where a client just wants a company profile. So they differ.
So you will give them, if they just want a logo, you can
Yes,
just give them that.
a client is a client, and they say a client is never wrong, right?
Yeah.
There are times where we call them quick fixes. There are times where a client just wants to have something from us for a specific purpose, okay? So we don't have the luxury of going through a discovery session, strategy and whatnot. A client just wants to open a business account. And for you to open a business account, you need to have your logo, you need to have a company profile and whatnot. So a client will come to you and say, Geoffrey, you do company profiles. I'm trying to open a business account. Oh, okay. Uh, give us your logo. Shikwete logo. Mpangilako fyaka fast fast. So you can't have the luxury of being all that creative and whatnot, and you can't charge that much for such a situation. So you tailor the service based on the situation. When you see that the client is really interested in building a brand, that's when you suggest, okay, we can't just give you a logo. We'll do some research to study your market. We'll create something that's going to be fit for your particular business in this market, and we'll tailor everything so that we make it work. So the price aspect is different. Clients, like I mentioned, the African market is still a little bit backwards. There are times where a client would say, design me something nice that's global. And then you send them something that is of that standard, and they'll start stripping it up. No, can you add the ego clause there, or the head of the ego, Vikapona Victoria Falls, to make it look Zambian? And then you start having these pushbacks with the clients. Like, you came to us, we are the doctor. You had a problem, we have a headache. We're telling you, can we panado? And you're saying, no, I'll just go and exercise. How does that work? So clients, unfortunately, they don't take advice from professionals like us. And in the end, They come back 6 months down the line and say it's not working. No, it's not working because you didn't listen to our advice. So yeah,
I
that's it.
think that the one thing that I'm learning is to trust the process. Is
Yes,
that sometimes, like, yeah, we want the quick fixes, we want this element or that element, and we want to figure out the rest ourselves. But I believe you've been in the business long enough and you've seen businesses start the process from beginning to end, and that has driven results. So for
exactly.
those businesses that are wanting to reach out to you today, I think they should just try to trust the process
They should
and
trust the
have that
process,
patience.
trust the provider. And it's funny that I actually had the same encounter yesterday. So there's a conference that one of these organizations is organizing for 2025. And they came to us to say, can you design us the visual concepts? We want the logo, the colors, and everything that's going to be used. I was like, okay, cool. Can you give us creative freedom? He said, yes, do what you can. But the moment I submitted my first concept, they were like, no, can you change it? Like, no,
What?
we're not going to change it. No, just change it. So we made all those changes and I submitted. And the client was happy. But then a few hours later, the client called back to say, you know what? Me, I like the first submission that you gave. I submitted it to the board and they said, no, let's work with the same submission. So clients need to understand that when they approach a service provider, they have a level of experience that they're trying to tap into. Let
Mm-hmm.
them do their job and let you focus on the business, which is why we exist as Broad, because we know branding is a very big conversation. And for a business to thrive, it's better they focus on their business. Let us focus on that and you focus on your core business.
Okay. And so for your business, Bertie, what is your bigger vision for the next 5 years? Where do you see Bertie growing
I can
into?
even see it. I can taste it, but I have a lot of work that I need to do. However, I've tried so hard to position Royalty as a brand development agency. Quite right, we're a marketing agency, but I would like a situation where, at the point of registration, the moment an entrepreneur decides to register their business, the moment they decide to brand it, Royalty should be at the top of their mind. Royalty should be at the top of the mind of every consumer globally. When you have a business in Germany and you come to Zambia, and you're trying to get recommendations, say, where can I have a professionally designed logo from? The first name that should pop up should be Royalty. Yes, we're a marketing agency, we do all those things, but the strength is in brand development. I say this because there are so many businesses out there that have managed to pivot on the same. And I've seen a lot of marketing agencies in Zambia that fail because they failed to pivot. They call themselves marketing agencies, and 3 years down the line, they find themselves doing all those things. And 7 years down the line, they are not there anymore. You see? So, what we've done is we've managed to identify our strength, we've pivoted, and in the long run, we would like to be known just as that. Do you know that there's a business that is known in the US just for that? The US Open logo, the National Geographic logo, the Warner Bros logo, all those are done by that agency. And that's all they do. They just design brand identities. And
Mm-hmm.
if that's going to be done successfully for Royalty, we'll be able to charge a little bit of a premium because we will be able to own that part of the marketing function.
Okay.
Yes, so we would like to be known as the number one most reliable brand development agency in the region and the world, possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how do you define success for your company, for your team that you work with, and for your clients?
Well, I'll start with my clients because those are the most important stakeholders of the business. So for me, success for them is seeing their visual identities being used properly. Not only properly, but I consider success. I link success to profitability, revenue. I want to see the businesses that I have worked with become profitable, not just exist, but become profitable. And this should also translate into growth. I should be able to see that they're actually growing from where we were. For my team, I always believe in continuous learning. So even as I give them projects here and there, I expect them to move from where they were when they were joining the business to something a little bit more. And the good thing about Broyalty or Joffrey is I am a very selfless person. Every interaction, every person that I work with, I nurture to a level where they can actually sustain themselves and build themselves something like Broyalty as well. So far, I've offloaded 4 guys that I've been working with because I nurture them and I like to see them thrive because, like I mentioned, I'm not so much of a 9 to 5 person, okay, the day job. So what I usually push for is, yeah, you can have your day job, but the market, the what's that, basic needs, BNNB, you need about 11,000 kwacha to sustain a family of 5.
Yeah.
And
The food
which
basket is
the
now
food basket,
expensive.
exactly. There are very few jobs that can actually pay you that much.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do for my people is I may not be able to pay them on salary that much, but I give them mentorship programs. Even as they are working with me, I give them mentorship programs. I teach them how to grow, how to use their craft to generate revenue. So on top of just paying them a salary, when I have bigger projects, I work with them hand in hand and pay them a commission on top of that. But I always tell them, I don't expect you to stay with Broyalty for 5 years. After
Yeah.
5 years, I should see you doing something else for yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's success for my team. For myself, money, 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 money.
You
I
did
should be able,
mention in the beginning that
yes,
you like
I like money.
money.
It should, I mean, businesses are created so that they make money.
Yeah.
There's no business that can tell you to say, we started this business because we are passionate about what we want to do. We want to make an
Don't say
impact.
that.
No, listen to what I know, okay, there's a thin line between starting a business because it's passionate, but the truth of the matter is it's a business. The nature of a business is to make sure that there's money coming in,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Even NGOs, they need money
Yeah, just to sustain.
just to sustain. Podcasts just like this one, you need money.
Yeah.
Eventually, I would like to see the podcast grow as well. We have businesses advertising and whatnot.
Yeah.
Next podcast, we could have a beverage, maybe of Coca-Cola here, because that's sponsorship, that's revenue,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So success for me is being able to grow in terms of visibility as well and revenue. Over the years, people didn't know about Broyalty. It's only now that people are knowing about Broyalty because we've been very, very intentional and would like to be on the lips of so many people. For the longest time, we've been in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But now we are showing up. We are here on this podcast. We're out there doing sponsorship programs, etc., etc. So yeah, that's success for Broyalty.
Okay, that's interesting. And after all is said and done, if there's someone out there watching who would like to connect or work with Royalty Business Solutions, how would they get in touch with you or connect with you?
Well, it's a digital world, so you find us everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a website. You find us there. It's broyalty.com. We're on the socials, Broyalty Business Solutions. Facebook, it's the same name. On LinkedIn, it's the same. X, we're there as well. TikTok as well. I've never been so much of a fan of TikTok, but you need to move with times.
Yeah.
So you have to be present on all socials. So we're basically everywhere. The physical presence of our office is in Olympia, Mweleshi Road.
Oh,
If
okay.
other people want to come physically for interaction, you can find me there. Yeah. For
Okay.
contact details, she's the one who has my number, so you can
We
you
can
can
post
yeah.
it in the video description.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we're very much visible, both digital and on the ground.
Okay. Thank you so much, Geoffrey. I've enjoyed learning a lot from you about branding, about visibility, and I'm sure the audience has as well. If you have enjoyed this episode, remember to comment what has stood out for you. Let's interact and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This has been the Money and People Podcast. Bye.